Welcome to another episode of the Reboot Chronicles, a no-holds-barred forum with global leaders, authors, entrepreneurs, and CEOs about how organizations stay focused on growth and innovation in unprecedented times. I'm your host, Dean Tobias, coming to you live from Reviv's North American headquarters in Chicago, and we would like to thank you for joining us from around the globe today. I'd like to welcome Tyler Whitehead to the Reboot Chronicles, the new Arbonne CEO who's rebooting the future of this health, beauty, and wellness company. Arbonne is one of the top-selling direct brands now owned by one of the world's largest family companies, Groupe Rocher, which combined has over 16,000 employees and has created somewhere in the middle of just hundreds of thousands of kind of gig economy jobs over the years. We'll talk about that in a minute, just as the overall group. But from where I sit, I think Arbonne is on its way to quickly becoming a billion-dollar global brand, and that's why we have Tyler on today. So, Tyler, welcome. Can we jump in there and talk about your story? New CEO coming in. What's the reboot journey been for you, like personally?
Yeah, great to be with you, Dean. Good to see you, and thanks for having me. I think, for me, it's been a whirlwind, as I'm sure many new CEOs that are joining a new business feels like a little bit of a firefight every day for the past 6 months since I joined really what is an incredible business in flight, and really looking at how we innovate for the future. My personal journey has included Reboot a couple of different times. I was formerly an attorney in private practice, mergers and acquisitions and IPOs and all that fun stuff on the financial side, and rebooted myself into direct sales about 18 years ago, first as general counsel. And
that is a massive jump, by the way.
And yeah, pretty big reboot to go from that. And then I rebooted again into from general counsel and really running risk management and compliance issues to the sales and operations side. And then more recently left a large public company that was a New York Stock Exchange traded company, and moved into a private family health business, as you mentioned, Arbonne. And another reboot, really moving from sales and operations focus to CEO, which is a different level of breadth. And so, really taking some of those things that I've learned over a few different major leaps into this, just really trying to learn and trying to make every day about what can I learn, what do I look for in terms of our team, and what do I look for in terms of potential and opportunity. And meanwhile, the tactical execution fires burn heavily to try and make sure we do things.
They're always there for you on Monday morning. As someone who's been in your shoes, rebooted many companies, I call this the stumbling around phase. So you actually want to be a little bit more open and naive and more learning, versus some of us come in like a firefighter and just parachute in and start fixing based on the old rules. And so kind of moving from your personal journey to, what do you do with a brand like this? It's a great sized company. You've got a whole group of, I call them gigsters, your consultant group, about 400,000 or so out there selling your products around the world, which is a tremendous asset. There's always kind of a lot of controversy around that, but it's just, just you're competing like competitively. Even Walmart has jumped into this creator influencer trend. Amazon is actually building their own kind of groups, and believe them or not, they're not necessarily independent, but people are listening to them. So just curious, what's the expansion strategy in terms of digital social commerce, and how does that all blend into your assets of having more of a market-facing, I'll just call them, creator influencer force, the sales consultants? Long answer probably for this one, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Our assessment, and that, that's a great way of articulating where I've been and where our company's at over the last few months, is really assessing, taking stock of what are our assets. And certainly our consultants are one of our prime assets. When you have that number, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are passionate advocates for our brand, and to be able to leverage that in the marketplace through digital scale, And it's really taking what has historically been a one-to-one model where it's a single consultant that's talking with a single customer. And over the last few years, digital and social commerce platforms have allowed the one-to-many to really explode and make it accessible to all of those 400,000 consultants that we have today, and be able to scale the business. So you start bringing in a heavy dose of data and analytics. You start to bring in, this type of digitization of decision making, and building something that in some ways becomes a little too cookie cutter. And so for us, it's the balance between the human interaction and the human personal recommendation, to maintain that personal recommendation, but be able to scale the business on these massive platforms with, potentially billions of dollars and billions of customers who may be looking for something. And the compression of time is one of the evolving things, Dean. What used to be a conversation that might take place in someone's home or on the telephone over a half an hour or an hour has been compressed into essentially 5 to 6 seconds worth of a scroll. And so how do you capture attention and then expand from that capture into that personalized conversation, building a relationship, building a little bit of trust through the person that's coming. So our brand attributes are being reviewed, and a brand that's been built over 40 years, it has a number of personalities, I will call them. And so part of what we're looking at is how do you focus that into a single articulation, or at least a sharper articulation that then can be leveraged when it's repeated. So, when a different story is repeated, and the story of Arbonne might be 6 or 8 or 10 different articulations over the last decade, it doesn't have the same power. And so one of the things we're looking at is how to focus that articulation on our brand, and then how to make sure we maintain that continuity of the one-to-one on the personal side of the business, but scale it on the one-to-many, which is really kind of the art of that. I call it the convergence, the intersection of those two, really different ways to share a brand.
Yeah, we'll jump into kind of, I call it aided and unaided commerce. So maybe get into that in a minute. But you said some really insightful stuff there about you have this certain group of people that kind of grew up doing it some in one way, but was it mostly face-to-face? Like if you look at someone like Amway, it was all face-to-face, and they have slowly converted to and struggling with, digital, because it's a big jump, right? Were you guys a little bit further ahead of that curve, or was it very similar?
I think we're a little bit down that road, but I would say it's pretty similar. And particularly because as you know, legacy, we have leaders who have been with the brand for decades, and they're powerful, and they're in the influencer game. They have a large voice, and so they tend to continue to want to do what they understand leads to success. And so that evolution and really changing the mindset into a digital framework for what might be baby boomers or above, even from our 42-year history, and then transitioning to the next generation, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, getting beyond that in terms of who are driving and leading in terms of the evolution of the approach.
That's exactly where I was going. It's like some of your compatriots in and around the industry they've got the boomers nailed. And when I talk to college students or Kellogg students where I teach, they're like, yeah, we don't know what that is. And we don't know anyone to buy from. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you could be an influencer, creator, reseller yourself. Like, yeah, we're not doing that either. So your big bet seems like you got to get into the next gens, all of them, starting with whichever one you have the least amount of market share on. So I can read between the lines. You're clearly doing that. I've seen that you've been doing a lot of events like on Facebook and Instagram. And so how is that social commerce? I guess 2 questions. How's the social commerce expansion going? And then how is it in terms of transforming your consultants into maybe more creator influencer types?
Yeah, I mean, it's leading with success cases. So we test in an area and then we refine that. For example, a year ago, Arbonne would have an event in person, and they might have 800 people that would attend that event in person.
Right.
That's what's been forced through the global pandemic is a virtual meeting of that same type, and that same meeting might have 100,000 participants in a virtual world in a new meeting. So just reinforcing that scale, and then the difficulty becomes how do you mine, how do you create, again, translate that 100,000 viewers or participants in a meeting back into a personalized connection to the Arbonne brand, either as a customer or as a potential consultant. So just sharing those, and then having our leaders who may not be as technology savvy or may not have the social technology chops, if you will.
You're being polite, yeah.
And find somebody on their team that does have that. And
Yep.
so really it's kind of the reverse mentoring. We have these very intelligent, powerful leaders who have executive skills, who have great relational skills, who are good leaders, and they need to be mentored by the Gen Z and the Gen X on what does it look like to take your leadership principles and translate it into where that next generation is. And so it's very cool. I think it's the young cool kids teaching the rest of us older guys some of the new tricks. And
I never thought we'd see that. They didn't let us do that when we were young. By the way, that's a trend. Those of you listening around the world, major corporations from Boeing to AT&T to whatever, they're all doing this. They call it reverse mentoring. It's fascinating, and sometimes some of these people don't even work for the company, but I actually like it when they work for the company and mix the generations. I like multi-generational, multinational teams working together. To me, that is pure diversity. Very different. So that brought up some more questions. You've got this, kind of how you're, I mean, I actually thought you were going to say just the opposite with COVID setting in, we're not going to go through this, but it accelerated everybody's digital plans, whether they were ready or not. Some of them were not, including Walmart, but it really helped accelerate for them. But I thought you were going to say, because of that, we were able to have, rather than, meetings of 10 to 100,000 people, we were able to have a lot of micro meetings, more targeted, more authentic experiences, which is one of your goal initiatives, I think. So I actually thought you were going to say, this has given our consultants more time to have more small meetings and do better connections with people. Definitely the session times have come down on everything, including podcasts. We're still trying to hold it a half an hour because I think that's still a good attention span for someone who's interested in you. But how's that going in terms of the micro targeting audiences and getting them to actually have everything from one-on-one, I don't have to drive to your house, to 1-on-20 smaller focus groups?
Yeah, I mean, I think on an individual consultant basis, that's exactly right. Our leaders are leveraging those tools. They're on Zoom, they're on Teams, they're on Facebook. They have that training on an individual basis. And again, the power of our brand will be multiplied and accelerated through a consistent story and framework. So from a company perspective, it's about really how do we maintain brand integrity. I don't necessarily want to use the word control, but when you have 400,000 different entrepreneurs,
CEOs love that word. Come on.
Yeah,
control. That's what we're paid for.
If only it wasn't just an illusion. But
well said.
But we definitely work for trying to maintain some alignment, because there is power in that consistent narrative around Arbonne and what we provide for people as a business opportunity, as well as our products. So that's where that scale, the scalability needs to come through. First and foremost for us around a consistency. Because particularly where, if you think about our consultants, many of whom are not sophisticated sales people, at least they don't have sales experience, and they want something that is a little bit pre-built, and so they're looking for that direction. And then as they evolve and have a bigger team and they have more experience with the brand, then the customization aspect that I think you're referring to starts to expand. And so it really is about, we have 90% that are really part-time, and then the 1 to 10% that are more full-time and have done it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And so that sophistication, and that's what I call our customization engine. Those leaders start to be able to nuance the brand and be able to actually add layers of that color and unique perspective. And then we mine that from a relational perspective to help add that differentiation across leaders and by targeted segments. So it creates the opportunity for us to understand which of these leaders are resonating with their version. And then we can build that back into our brand to then say, okay, we have another demographic or another psychographic that might be attracted to this particular part of a narrative for how Arbonne is articulated to an individual.
Or a product mix, like skincare, cosmetics, mixing, all types of, how did you get that 5 sets of products to go together? Well, let me show you.
Exactly.
That's actually good. Do you have, I read something about a content kit that you put together for to help consultants kind of do more authentic experience. Was that you guys?
Yeah. Yep.
What's that all about?
We started.
I feel like you were just touching on that, so it sounded similar.
Yeah, it's really the framework where we provide a building block of a product. So it's a product visual or a product narrative, and then provide that so that our independent consultants can take that and customize it for their own customers. And so it's really that building block. And if you're a new consultant who maybe is not creative at building marketing materials, they can use it as is, or they can take that building block and add their own flair, their own color, or their own personal experience or their personal testimonial to that content to create something that's really the customization of the brand.
So it's more content tools. Any types of enabling technology tools in there besides Zoom and Teams and that kind of stuff? That's more commodity right now.
Yeah, we have a fairly robust back office set of support, and that really has been built around information around the product, guidelines and standards on the brand, guidelines on product claims, for example, is an area where we make sure that we have training and support available.
And that's pretty core to your brand. You've got like a no-fly zone of 2,000 ingredients, and you're very focused on vegan, cruelty-free, gluten-free. That's a big selling point. A lot of the big brands have still not landed there yet. They're having trouble scaling that.
Yeah, Arbonne is really we call it the original clean.
Mm-hmm.
That was the standard going back to 1980 when the brand was founded by Peter Mork.
It's a little easier when you found it that way. Now everybody seems to be copying it, but I've noticed the big guys. It's a big stretch for them. They're acquiring different pieces.
Yes, and Dean, there's as you know, there's a lot of brands that do a lot of greenwashing and other things.
Totally.
That they want to tell that story, but it's not very authentic sometimes, and it may or may not even be very truthful. But
by the way, listeners are like, greenwashing. Yes, it happens in every industry. Yes, it does.
But there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to be a leader and to show that there is a model that works when you have that integrity, and customers really are with I guess one of the things that we're all in this digital world. Their information is ubiquitous. People have access to amazing information about our formulations and about what we put in our product and how our product is made and where our product is made. And that information and consumers are more and more demanding to not just, hear the benefit or hear the story from a marketing perspective, but they want to know what's behind it. And they can, in many cases, do that discovery through the information that's available publicly and or privately. And so, I think it's going to be harder and harder for companies that aren't very transparent. One of the things that we did 2 years ago at Arbonne was certify the company as a B Corp.
I saw that.
Which
congratulations. Not it's a very small list, by the way.
Yeah, it's a heavy lift to do that.
It's both social and environmental performance is a tough thing to measure. How's it helped you? Or were you already there pretty much?
We weren't there. I wish I could say we were.
Oh, wow.
There. We've had a lot of work to do, and I think it provides a very good framework. It's easy to look at packaging use or water use and think we can do better. But when you're competing with profit and with performance, some of those decisions get put off or delayed or slow rolled in terms of investment.
Right.
When you commit to something like a B Corp certification, you're publicly stating we're going to meet the standard, and then each year we're going to incrementally improve on where we were last year.
I get it. Most consumers don't really care about that or know what it means, but they do get the clean and green thing.
Yep.
That they care about now more about, in the health, beauty, wellness space, what goes on their body and what goes in their body just as much now. So that is a great trend for you. I think you guys win that hands down if they read it or if they just look at the ingredients. How do you take that same argument now? Because you just said, hey, well, you can find any of this online. So let's say I'm talking to a consultant, and actually a preliminary question first. Can I just go to your website and buy stuff, or do I need to go through a consultant?
No, you can go to our website. We really love when people are introduced to the brand through our consultants, and all the people who access through our website are able to be assigned a consultant, if you will.
So did they get assigned automatically, or is it optional?
Yep. So we provide that. You can be a customer without being assigned a consultant. That is an option.
Okay, but mine was really, let's say I'm assigned, I'm talking to her online and she's recommending some products. But at the same time, I've got another window over here because I have a massive screen in front of me, and I've got Amazon up in Walmart, and I'm like, hey, it's $3.95 here. And it's like, it's $4.95 here. And you're what? $7.95. So I guess, how do you position yourself against competitors in a very hot space right now? I mean, health, beauty, and wellness did not used to be this aggressive. And specifically, I bring up the A&W, Amazon and Walmart, not the root beer stand. As they see what you're doing, right? And it's so easy just to click and it's at my door. Are you finding there's pressure there, or are you finding opportunity?
I think it's both. There's definitely pressure. I think most of the pressure that we feel is on the logistics side.
Yes.
So it's, table stakes, things like, do you have free shipping? Do you have 2-day shipping? Do you have, one-click checkout? And kind of on that logistics and ease of purchasing side.
Right.
So we've invested, massive amounts in the last 2 years on that commerce platform, so that we have, the highest level of SAP commerce that can be provided, so that the experience from a checkout and a shopping cart can be seamless and be, consistent or competitive with the big guys. On the other hand, we really feel like the opportunity is from an experience perspective. I don't know about you, but I've never called Amazon and spoken to a person or had anybody at Amazon who knows me.
They definitely don't know you. You can finally call them though. Yes. It's hidden. I'll tell you where it is. It's at the bottom of the page. But I definitely get there's no one-to-one connection. That's very powerful.
And it feels like it's they know you based on a set of attributes or characteristics that's a little bit creepy almost at some point.
You are an algorithm, right?
Exactly, and it's not personal. So I think where our opportunity is the experience of personal and leveraging that. So our approach and our focus is not about how many transactions and transaction based we can be, which means that we're not competing head to head on price per ounce of whatever product that we have, because there's so much value add in that experience and in that coaching. So one of our most popular products today is our 30 Days to Healthy Living system. And it's a few of our key products on the nutrition and wellness side, but it comes with a coach. It comes with someone who does a person-to-person's assessment, helps understand what are your goals, what are you looking for, how do we help you, what products do we have that might be helpful for you. Right. And we're finding that personal relationship. And granted, a lot of those things can be done in an app, or, and you and I have both gone through those kind of interactions.
Too many questions, right?
Yeah, fill out the
The
questionnaire.
vitamin, yeah, all of them. They're just like a long list. Yep.
But when we're still finding that the stickiness of a real conversation with somebody who says, hey, this is how I'm going to help you, and these are great products and I use them, and here's how they've helped me. That part of our business is still very powerful. And as you mentioned earlier when we were chatting before, there are a number of companies, L'Oreal on the skincare side and some others who are investing heavily to try and create these types of influencers, or these types of coaches, or these types of personal recommendation, people to support their business, because they're seeing that as they move online and as they move to, the Sephora model that's all online, they still need a store, they still need a person, they still need some of those recommendations. So we feel we're very well positioned to kind of be that convergence of both. And not going down the road of trying to compete, except like I said, on the logistics side, we want to have the same shipping or better, the same quality and packaging and delivery or better, and we can compete there. And where Amazon cannot compete yet, and I've had some conversations with Andy Jassy and some of the folks over there, and I know they're looking.
They are working on it, man.
They are working on it.
I talk to them all the time.
It's still an area where we feel like we have some competitive advantage.
No, and I ask this very affectionately. I'm rooting for companies like you, hundreds of companies like you, because it's just too easy, and people are lazy. It's just too easy to go there, and Walmart's catching up with them, and as are other marketplaces. You hit the nail on the head. Personalization is critical, and we view it as both digital tools to help the personalization experience, whether it's aided or unaided by a consultant, is what consumers want. Meaning, it's very situational, how they feel, what time of day it is, all that stuff. Maybe just to close out the next few minutes, let's talk about the other side of direct selling. A lot of claims made about it, and I guess two questions. What that aren't that positive, but you testified before Congress about the gig economy, and which I actually agreed to most of, because let's face it, the gig economy has been around for centuries. Now it's just enabled by digital and actually accelerated through global COVID, right? So I guess what is your take on it? And did Congress get it? Did they get what you were saying, or was it one of those Facebook meetings where they're kind of glazed over a little bit?
I think there's still a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah. It's that negativity from the past is still there, it seems like.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, and I think there's a bit of an overreaction, I think, with protective of consumers or customers. What we really are leaning in on is making sure that we're customer based. Our success is based on our customers, and those create a business opportunity. And we're not overly focused on the business opportunity. It really creates that relationship. And as you mentioned, it's a century plus old from the Fuller Brush Company in 1901.
Well, I was just talking about the gig economy in general, not MLM. Just side gigs is like, it's so important. Yeah. But you're right. I found the same thing when I talked to Congress. It's like they paint it with the brush. I'm like, hey, there were some bad players. Most of them are gone. Netflix just made a movie about it, for gosh sakes. But yeah, don't paint it with the whole brush. That's how you shut down industries. And now, that's why I brought up the gig economy now resurfacing and bringing out creators and influencers and peddlers, quite frankly, is another name for them, because a lot of them are schlepping product. They have to look at it in a different light through the digital conglomerates now and the tech guys. Hey, real quick, maybe something better to end on is tell us about what's next for you guys, international plans. What's the next couple of years look like as your reboot continues?
Sure, and thanks for asking. I think for us, we're really looking at a series of frontiers. And as we've chatted a little bit, the digital frontier is front and center. For us, really navigating into that and really accelerating into that over the last couple of years as a result of COVID and the accessibility of technology for our consultants. Beyond that frontier, geography-wise, Arbonne has a relatively small footprint globally. We're in 6 countries, and only one of the top 10 direct selling countries. And really, we're a part of the $1.5 trillion wellness economy. So far beyond what, direct selling itself.
Right.
And so we're really excited about that frontier. And we have some geographic expansion that can leverage into Latin America, into Europe, into Asia. So we really feel like, with digital scale, and as we focus our brand and our business, we can take it really into that other geographic frontier. Demographics, we have adjacent categories in wellness. Mindfulness is a great example. We're just super excited about that opportunity as well. So, we're really well positioned to really achieve and exceed our $1 billion goal over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. Unlike some of your other competitors, one of them has like 90% of their business outside of the U.S. You have just the opposite. It's like the world is your oyster. Thanks, Tyler. Really appreciate your talking with us. You've been listening to Tyler Whitehead, who's the new CEO of Arbonne. Excellent company. Check it out. This is Dean Tobias with the Reboot Chronicles. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Dean.